Hi Phil, where are we today?
This is the Lara Point work. In 1642 or 1643, that period, an earthwork was built here on the high ground, somewhere in this area. Nobody knows exactly where now. That's been lost to history. There was a small, somewhere up by the house, there was a small earthwork, a small redoubt. It was called the Lara Point work, which is just a small fortification.
How many people would have been in
About 50 or 60 soldiers.
And how was it built? Of stone, brick, or what?
Earth. They threw up earthworks,
Right.
and then they were reinforced with stone if they could find any. Wood palisades were put inside. There was an ammunition store that was buried with a padlock on it, and there were 3 guns here as well, 3 cannon.
Why did they build it here?
This is the extreme right flank of the Roundhead Works, the Parliamentarian Works defending Plymouth. Where we were earlier at Lipsome Fort, that area, Freedom Fields, you come down to this direction, east, and you come across the last point for defence. The fort here, the Lara Point work, kept an eye on Saltram, the River Plym. Plymton's way beyond the trees, and if you look to your right you will see Fort Stamford, which was an earthwork built in the Civil War early in 1643 and named after the Earl of Stamford.
You can still spot it there, look,
You can still see it. That's not the original Fort Stamford. That was another earthwork, but a major earthwork that was.
So back in the day we would see the King's men over the other side of the river, wouldn't we?
Around Saltram,
Which is
with patrols riding
that
to and
way
fro.
there.
Yes. Up round the corner. None of these trees were here. None of those houses were there. This was all open countryside out here.
So the view would be really good, wouldn't it?
It would have been a great view.
Great view, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Lipson Creek down the
Lipson
bottom
Creek, you could see Lipson Creek.
from here.
Yes.
Of course, because now we've got the
The tree line and everything, and the
railway
railways.
and the-
That was the embankment. That
Yes.
wasn't there either in those days. The river was much wider, and you could see it flowing into Lipson Creek, which was a tidal
of course.
creek.
A little. You just said earlier on that you said, in your opinion, that Mount Gold Road, which is a very well-known road in Plymouth,
Yes.
you think was actually a military road.
I think it was a military road because all the forts that were built, the 5 major forts in Plymouth and the Lara Point work, the roads, North Road West, North Road East, Headland Park, Clifton Place, those roads, and Mount Gould Road and Ladysmith Road, well, Ladysmith Road's in front. Mount Gould Road run behind the forts. So you could actually use that road to rush reinforcements to any threatened point in Plymouth.
So the idea of a military road is easy access, A, B, C, D and E, to where you want to go.
That's right. If you read about some of the battles that were fought here around Pennycombe Quick Work, troops from other forts and the Battle of Freedom Fields, the Sabbath Day fight, troops from other forts were gathered and rushed to aid those posts. So they must have had a clear road. So that road, I believe, was a military road. It wasn't officially a military road, but that's what I believe, because those roads ran behind the forts.
It really must make you think, Phil, what could be underground here? And
Yes.
what an excavation
I'd love to
might
do that.
show. Because this has never been touched here, has
Nope.
it?
No, not this area.
This land has been looking at the stars for thousands of years,
Yeah.
basically. Up to there.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened here.
I mean, you get a good idea what it looks like over there, all open ground.
So there could be musket balls under
Musket
here.
balls, broken weapons, cannonballs, broken cannons. Because I don't know what happened to all the cannons that were around in Plymouth during the Civil War.
What a
There
thought,
have been a
isn't
few
it?
found. There was one unearthed up by Hyde Park, near St Gabriel's Church. When they built the church, they unearthed
Really?
a Civil War cannon. Yeah,
What a thought. What's
Yeah.
lies beneath our feet.
hundreds of cannon.
Also, Phil, I believe there's a rather an unhappy incident that happened here to a
Yes.
couple of our people from Plymouth.
Well,
Can you tell me what happened? What
yeah,
happened?
in the Civil War, a lot of men changed sides. That was fine unless they were captured, in which case they were usually executed. With a few exceptions. There was a gallows set up on the Hoe, and there was one set up at Mount Gould. It was set up here because it gives the royalists over there a spectator's view of their men being
And
executed.
if they were across there with a spike glass, they would get truly a good view.
Yeah, a very good view, because The main incident that happened here that is recorded was the Second Battle of Fort Stamford in February 1645, the Second Battle of Fort Stamford. The fort was overrun, relatively easy, and 100 of the royalists captured. There was only 300 of them. Some were killed, some were wounded, most fled, but we took 100 disheartened royalist prisoners. And 3 of those men were officers, Captain Maynard and Lieutenant Battishill and Lieutenant Ashford. They were brought into Plymouth and recognised as ex-parliamentarian soldiers. They were tried, and 2 days later these 3 men were brought out and hung. And there was a crowd watching, and the crowd was stunned by how well they took their execution. They just did it heroically, they said. They just went to the gallows and died, and were buried close by.
Again, somewhere beneath our feet.
Yep, somewhere around here is the 3 officers who were killed or executed for treason.
It's quite astonishing to think how much of Plymouth's history is beneath our feet here.
Everything's beneath our feet.
And it's never been
all there. No,
it's never been looked at.
If you go from the Lara Point work here to Lipson, there was about another half a dozen or more forts, mini forts in between. Half Moon works. Yeah.
Add it all up, and there's a tremendous amount of possible archaeology.
There is
under the ground,
just under our feet. And we need to get it up to make sense of it, because the written word is good, but you need evidence.
Absolutely.
And that can change a lot of things. They did a survey, a metal detecting survey around Lostwithiel for the campaign in 1644, the King's march into the West Country, where he defeated Essex. And it's changed the course of the battle, because they found musket ball clusters, cannonballs, and they thought, well, look what's happened here. And it's changed the whole history of it. You need the archaeology.
Thank you very much.
You really do. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.